Welcome to the Izzi and Nils Show. If you listened to last week's episode, you're expecting us to have us talking about our biggest marketing fails, but you are wrong, and we lied to you. Today, in-house versus self-employed, what are the pros and cons in online marketing? And tune in next week to hear about our biggest marketing fails. That's such a sad song.
Are you going to tell people that you're drunk?
Probably yes.
Good.
So I'm not really drunk anymore because it's been 3 hours since I drank my last cocktail. Other than that, I had like 4 cocktails today or 5, I don't remember, and a beer.
Oh, I was really looking forward to you being super drunk.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Should I drink something?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So I said I have a surprise for you today.
Yes.
Okay, so my surprise is we were drinking, and so I met this guy here on Bali, and we were drinking the drinks today at La Brisa, or La Brisa, I don't know how to say that. And he's just starting out with getting self-employed. So I decided to invite him, and that's why I'm not alone, but we're 2 people here, so we have our first interview guest. And
Oh my god.
Hello. What's up?
Hi.
How are you, Izzy? I'm Dan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm good, but I'm very shocked.
I'm a very pathetic first guest interview, though. It's embarrassing.
No, it's fine. You have to come a bit closer when talking.
I have to come. Okay. Is this all right?
Yeah, that should work. It's just this.
Yeah.
We said a normal penis length.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
Normal penis line. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Very short.
Very short. Okay.
Okay.
This is
Cool.
a pathetic first guest because, like, I have no experience.
No, that's fine. But you're just starting out, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Because,
So that's interesting.
I mean,
isn't it?
Izzy is in-house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm self-employed with a
You
bit
are, yeah.
experience, and
Uh-huh.
also I have in-house experience, kind of.
Mhm.
And you are just starting out, so I think that could work really well. And you can just add something whenever you want to add something.
Let's do it. Yes.
Introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Dan Saputra, Saputra. I'm from Indonesia, and I currently study in university, study communication. I want to get into marketing, and I've had some experience. Not really, like
Come on, you can pretend.
I've been a marketing intern, but like that's it. But like, yeah, I've had some clients before, and I'm like looking to set up my freelance self-employed type of thing, and it's really cool. So if this fails, I'll go to in-house. Like, I'm very confused. I'm a very new, like, I'm a newbie. I'm a student. I'm still in university, so it's really exciting.
That's
to
cool.
Yeah.
talk to
You're
you.
still like figuring out what to do
Yeah.
specifically.
I feel like I might be like a representation of your audience. Maybe some of them are like me, like they're still starting out. Maybe they're not as young as me, but they're like they're in a career transition or something like that.
I'm sure some will be as young as you.
Uh-huh.
But
Yes.
so it's hard to. Can I tell your age? Because
Yes.
it's always so fun. Because so when I met Dan, so basically we were at this beach and beers evening at Dojo co-working in Bali, and then I think we just met there, and then we were all at the co-working space going there, and we introduced to each other, and then during the evening we were asking each other how old are we. So that's what happens when you don't know what else to say. So
Yes.
Awkward.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we, of course, then it's not just you tell your age, but everyone has to guess the age
Yeah,
of all the people.
I started that.
Yes, and when it was Dan, we all thought like 29, 30.
35.
Yes, and he's 19, so he looks really old for his
I look really
Oh.
old. Me and aging aren't best friends. It's sad.
Also, Izzy, why did you decide to try to become self-employed instead of getting an in-house position?
Well, that's because I had no experience in marketing or in SEO specifically. So actually, starting in-house was the best for me in order to train myself up in a very specific to SEO environment, because I had all the people around me already working in online marketing. So that was the best way for me to get trained up as well. So that's how I started in-house.
Oh, nice.
So then what about you? Like you started or you decided to start your career, a hopefully shiny career. You
Fingers
decided to
crossed.
start it self-employed instead of in-house. What was your motivation?
I think it's because it's flexible. I'm still gonna be a student for one more year, but hopefully, so I can juggle things when I'm in university, and also it's fun having a lot of people to work with. I mean, I was an intern in house for marketing, but I was a marketing intern, but I was the only person who did marketing. So I think I pretty much
So you were the
Oh.
CMO, like you were
pretty much like I did all the social media and everything, and it's kind of like boring working for one specific project. Like I have a wide interest in things, so like I would love to like do different things at once, and it offers obviously freedom. It's like a huge thing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Izzy might not agree because
I don't.
she doesn't know this world.
Oh, all right.
So just kidding.
You need to come here.
I should. That would be fun.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So maybe talking about this. So I first of all I totally agree, but I'm self-employed, so
Right,
I think there are different opinions to this. But Izzy, you started your career in-house. So what do you think when you started out? I mean, how long have you been working in an employment? Like when did you start working?
Okay, so maybe I'm not the best sort of opinion on this because I've only ever worked in-house, but it's good that we have like two different angles, you know? But I started 4 years ago as an intern, so I've only been at Sixt fully employed in-house. And I really
Okay.
like it, but I've never experienced anything else. But from what I've heard, like agency side also, that is not really for me. That's another
Yeah.
area.
What do you think is bad about agencies? I mean, I could tell you a lot about this, but but
Let's hear it.
yeah, but what do you? I mean, so maybe what do you think is better in an in-house employment compared to an agency employment?
So I don't think agency is bad. I think it's just not really for me. I know there's a lot of very strict deadlines and a lot of different clients that you have to work for. That is very exciting because you get to, at least in SEO, sort of learn these topics in depth over a number of different niches and verticals, and that is very interesting. So what is impacting one industry may be completely irrelevant for another. So you sort of have a very good overall knowledge over these topics in many different areas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, are you still hungover?
Yes.
Because you were saying you will have the sexy voice today. So.
Is it? Yeah, it's beautiful. I know. But I hear quite a few bad stories from agencies, don't you?
I mean, I've written them, so yeah.
Oh.
I mean, no, not really. So I enjoyed my agency time. However, I mean, I know how it works internally. Not necessarily at my former agency, but I know that for some agencies, companies companies want to work with them for some projects or even long term, and then they pay for senior positions, but they get the interns who do the stuff. So I think companies have trust issues with agencies because agencies many times fuck things up and they don't really deliver what they promise. So I think that's a huge problem, at least for the companies. Of course, not for the agencies, but I think that's why things are a bit bad at agencies. And also,
Yeah.
agencies often, I mean, we're talking about employments in this episode. So I think for employments, sometimes it can be really bad to be in an agency because you need to do stuff that you aren't really qualified to do. So, for example, Dan, like you said, you were intern, but you you were the only marketing person in the
Yes,
company.
I was.
And that happens so often. So agencies sometimes just want to be paid for all the projects and get all the money, but they can't really deliver what they promise.
And I hear because the agency promises such great things to the company, it really like burns out the employees of the agency. Like you said, if they're not fully employed, fully trained up in this. So that can have a really bad negative impact on those that work there because they're just working super long hours and under a lot of stress.
Yeah. How do you experience that in-house? So, I mean, we're not necessarily talking about your employee right now, but in general, maybe also from people that you know. So, I don't know that much in-house persons or people, but you might know more than I do. So how would you, or how do you think is the stress level in-house? Do you think it's easier there?
I think it always depends. I also don't know that many in-house people, which is a shame, but I would like to. In-house wise, I have a good employer. I guess there are some in-house people that are kind of like agencies with very sort of stressful, short deadlines. What was your question again?
I don't know.
Okay. The stress level for me is not super high. I wouldn't say it's stress or pressure either. I mean, I have a lot to do, and we all do, but these are like big projects that we're all really passionate about and sort of projects that we are interested in and want to do. So it's a different kind of time pressure, I would say.
Izzy, could you say when you started your career in-house in the first 6 months, did you experience any extreme pros and cons? What was hard starting out? What was super cool starting out in-house?
It's so long ago now. I remember it was very cool having this sort of security of being in-house or working for a big company, especially as I moved abroad to move to that company. There wasn't like this financial worry of where is the next paycheck coming from? Will I have a job next month? And so on. And I think that is sort of one of the pros of being in-house, maybe starting out compared to self-employed. You don't have to actively seek the next client or the next project, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Then what about you? Do you have any, I feel like a moderator today. Do you have fears in getting new clients or what?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm trying to get new clients right now. It's not easy.
What do you do to achieve that?
Personal connections, just leverage them,
Okay.
ask people.
Speaking on
But, yeah.
podcasts.
Yeah.
If someone wants to check my portfolio, go to dansaputra.com
Yeah.
and
Link in the description.
yeah, you can contact me from there. Woo!
Nice.
No, seriously, we'll link to you in the description. No problem. So
Oh,
no,
yes.
but still,
Uh-huh.
do you so on a personal level, are you scared of doing that, or are you happy to be able to find clients, or what do you feel about it if you want to share this?
I'm not scared. I'm pretty shameless asking people around. But it is like, I mean, I'm very low on money right now.
Oh, that's
So it's really
Aw.
it's really tough to make it.
yeah.
But when I score new clients, I'll be good.
Hmm.
But it is pretty scary. But I mean, I think it's gonna be worth it. And I think what's gonna
Yes.
be important for me is to keep the clients happy and maintain the relationships because I just got a repeat. Like, I mean, as in my old clients looking for me,
Hmm.
and it feels so good when it does happen
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I think in general, getting like clients who come back to you or give you nice
Mm.
testimonials is the coolest
Yeah.
thing because you did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Independent of any money that you
Uh-huh.
got. Yeah. So also, I think as you're living in Australia,
Mhm.
it's I think Australia is extremely expensive.
It
So,
is. It is.
So it might be even harder there I mean, Munich is or Germany is also
Uh-huh.
kind of expensive,
Yeah.
but it's harder there than compared to
I know.
Indonesia or
Uh-huh.
something.
And I'm a university student.
Yeah, sure. Do you pay for university? or is it free?
Long story.
Oh, okay, won't ask that. It's off topic.
But anyway, yeah, it's exciting though. I mean, starting new and like trying to find clients.
What were your wins that you so far had? Did you have any? Like when you work with clients, did you experience cool stuff where you say, hey, this was worth the effort?
For sure, when like you meet the objectives and they're happy, it's like there's a sense of feeling that you've done something for them, and it's like you've succeeded. And my client, so it was like this social media consulting, and I'm very new. I had the biggest imposter syndrome. They said, "Oh, it's all right. Let's just do it." Like, I mean, you can go in, but tell the story. So, like, one of the clients that I have is I'm doing social media consulting. They're a pretty big company, like a nationwide thing, and they have branches all over Indonesia, hundreds of them. Apparently, they've used some other agency and other professionals, but when they found me, they loved me because like I listened to them and kind of I fulfill their needs and not just give shit work, but like go out and do extra things for them.
Yeah.
And it feels fulfilling when you do that. It's like,
I think
it feels like you have more purpose in your work, not just.
I think that's what separates one-man shows from agencies, because agencies don't over-deliver usually.
Yeah.
Izzy, do you have any experience? I mean, we're not really talking about agencies in this episode.
We've drifted off that way.
Yeah, but Izzy, do you have experience in giving jobs to agencies? Have you ever worked with them?
Actually, no. We never work with agencies, at least on our corporate side of things. Other team members do, like say if we do exotic country SEO, so then we need like people like experts in Baidu and Yandex, for example, so the different search engines. But actually, at Sixt, we mostly do everything in-house, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's quite unusual. And I think it's great internally because a lot of us are experts in all those different fields, and it's all kept in one sort of area. So we have like our developers and our UX guys and our other online marketing teams in the same building, pretty much. We have some in different countries, but we meet them every now and then. So we have all these people together, and you can learn so much from everyone around there. So Nils, what are the pros and cons for starting your career self-employed? I know you had an agency before that, and what was the difficulties and the benefits for that?
I think it doesn't really matter if you have an agency, like if you have employees or if you're on your own. Because I think anyway, you take a high risk. So you have to take care of finding your own clients. If you have an agency or if you have employees, it's even worse because you are responsible for paying the salaries every month. So that's even harder, I would say. So for the agency life, I think it was always difficult for me. So I started in 2009 being self-employed. And then 2012, I started with my agency, having employees and everything. And I would say until 2014, 2015, it was always really, really difficult for me to earn enough money, to to sleep well, because I know, hey, I'm doing great. So I was always worried about earning enough money, about getting enough clients, about paying enough or being able to pay the salaries and so on. It always worked out, luckily, but it was not really nice. So after that, when I decided to give away my agency or to be self-employed again without employees, since then, everything went well for me, really, really well, because I finally didn't have to pay for anyone else, and I just could earn my own money, and everything I earned was mine. But I think this is a bit different from other people who are self-employed because I had a huge track record. I had very, very well or very great references. I worked for huge clients, and so my daily rate that I could charge or that I can today charge is really high compared to what you have if you're just starting out. So I think now it's easier, and I think right now for me, it's the best thing to be self-employed. I think there is no other thing I could do that would benefit me and my personal life more, because I have a lot of time, a lot of free time to do just what I want. And while I'm working, it's still fun. I can pick my clients because I get a lot of requests to work with great companies. And so it's kind of like living the dream,
Yeah.
but it was always like this. So I think, when you're just starting out to work self-employed, you first of all, you need a really, really broad skill set. So it isn't enough to just be good at SEO or be good at social media or be good at PPC or whatever you're doing. Also, you have to know about how to set up a company, how to do your tax stuff, and
Yeah, all that fun stuff.
yeah, everything that's super fun.
Yes.
And I think this is something that many people don't really have in mind when they say, I want to be self-employed, but that's a huge part of it. And if you're not doing it correctly, this can really mess up everything. So I think it's super important to know a bit about this, or at least have someone who knows about this. Yeah. So at the same time, when you're having this high risk, it's also a high reward. So you can charge, I don't know what people charge in general, but usually it's, I don't know, maybe 1,000 euros per day, or even up to 4,000 or 5,000 euros per day, depending on how successful you are, how much demand there is for your work. So you can really work just a few days per month and earn enough to have a great life. So I think that's worth it. But also, if you are not there yet, so if it's hard to find clients or something, especially in the beginning, you will not have this high reward. You will just have the high risk. And also,
Yes.
one last thing for me, what's really hard, I would say it's a challenge when being self-employed. For me, it's the motivation, because I cannot work too long on the same project. I kind of easily lose my interest in specific projects, in specific jobs. So as soon as it takes too long to accomplish things, or to get rewards, results, whatever, I tend to not be interested in doing it anymore. And so I very easily stop working on this thing, which is really bad, because I left so much money on the table because of this, because I'm so bad at motivating myself.
So that means that if a client wants a long-term project, you will usually decline it. Do you prefer to do like the quick wins and everything?
Depends. So I don't usually decline projects as soon or as long as they are ethically good. So I wouldn't work for, I don't know, I have no examples, but I wouldn't work for projects that I could not stand up for. So it has to be things that I like, but I wouldn't really decline them, but I would prefer to work on short-term projects. But it's not really for clients, it's more for what I do myself. So if I, for example, if I have a conference, or if I have a startup, or some software as a service tool or something, it has to give me results quickly so that I will continue working on it.
But I would like to ask you what advice you give to people like Dan or those guys out there that want to move from one certain type of employment to self-employment.
I think it's always difficult if you are employed, or if you if you don't have the time. Like, for example, you're studying then, and you don't really know how to start. I guess some people won't know. I would recommend to just spend a few hours per week on working for a client. So maybe find one client, or maybe two. Maybe one is easier in the beginning, and just work for, I don't know, 5 hours per week or something. I think everyone can do that next to studying, or next to their current job. Yeah, right. So I would start like this, and then pretty quickly shift from working for your employment or studying, maybe, and shifting it to working for clients. And I think if you do it this way, you reduce the risk. You could, of course, also say, I will just stop my current employment and just try to get new clients, but that's really high risk. So I would recommend not to do that. But I think if you just slowly increase the time per week that you spend on clients' work, then you're pretty safe. And of course, as soon as it gets to more hours, so if you're not only working 2 hours or 5 hours per week, but if it's 20 hours or something, you shouldn't place all your bets on one client, but instead you should diversify. So you should have several clients, so that when one client decides to stop working with you, you're still good to go and you're not losing all of your income. Because I had that in the past. So I worked for Audible from Amazon, the audiobooks, and it was our biggest client by far, and a big amount of the monthly income came from them. And when they decided to stop working with us, it was really bad. And so I could have avoided that by just diversifying more. So even if you have one client that pays you, I don't know what, 10,000 per month or 20,000, whatever, or 5,000, and if you think, hey, that's so much money, I don't have to work for anyone else, I would still recommend to get at least 60% or 80% or something from other clients, because, yeah, you're just not risking anything if you do it like this.
I think the risk is good. It sort of motivates you even more to do a better job.
It is, but still people will stop working with you, even if you do a great job. I mean, I had that, I think just yesterday, where there was a client who said, hey, we're super happy working with you, but unfortunately, there's just no projects right now where we need you. And then they're just gone, although they are satisfied. And also sometimes companies cannot do all the stuff that you recommend to them. So for example, if you do SEO or social media and you say, hey, this is your to-do list for this month, they're just not fast enough. And they say internally, hey, we're spending money for this guy who's consulting or who's doing consulting, but we cannot really catch up with the work. So we're paying for something that we cannot really use. And then people will stop working with you quite often. So that's a normal thing that happens. Of course, you have some clients who stick with you long term, but still you will always have some who just come and go. So that's it's a danger that you need just to have on your mind when you're working self-employed.
Yeah. In the beginning, was there some months where it was very slow and some months where it was just super crazy and so much to do?
Yes, but what happened to me, so I'm a really bad businessman, and whenever I had these months where things went very well, I had a tendency to go lazy in the next months because I thought, hey, it's working so well, I don't need to do much anymore because now I'm safe, and then I was not. So yes, this happened, and I was the worst at dealing with it. So I would always recommend to the listeners of this podcast, if they're just starting out, even if you have nice months, always, I don't know, try to keep a bank account that contains at least the money for 6 months of your life, of your future life. Because if you don't have that, then you're still not safe. And even if you have it, you're still not safe. But then I think you're kind of good to go. So you have a lot of time to get new clients if clients go away. And also, I think it's important to try to keep your fixed costs every month as low as possible. Because, I mean, also some people try to or tend to get all the expensive apartments and a car, and I don't know what, and say, hey, all my friends, I have so much money, I will invite you on all the drinks that we can drink tonight. And I tend to do that.
Yeah, sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, for me, it's okay by now, but I do that all the time because I love giving to people or buying my friends. No, not really. No, just kidding. But whenever I had enough money, I was giving it away. And that's not so smart, especially when you're self-employed or if you have your own business. You should always try to have a huge... so you just should have enough money to be good, even if all your clients said goodbye today and it would take you 6 months to find a new client. You should still be good to go and not spend your money on stuff.
What about the daily life comparisons between you and me?
Oh yeah, that will be sad for you.
That would be very sad. How would you describe the daily life of a self-employed person or as an agency employee? And then I will tell you mine and we can compare. That'll be fun.
I tell you mine, you should be yours. So I would say it extremely differs. So I think agency life and in-house life will be some kind of the same because you have an employer and you work on projects. Of course, the projects differ. In an agency, you will have different projects all the time. Well, in-house, you're working more on maybe bigger in-house projects, but you can tell us. So I think agency life it depends on the agency you're in. Many agencies expect their employees to work overtime, which I think is really, really bad.
Awful.
Yeah, I know. I think it makes people unhappy and makes people hate their job. So I think it would even make more sense to say, hey, you work 6 hours per day instead of 8 hours, and especially not overtime. Because when we had an agency, we always tried to tell our people to leave so that they don't do overtime, because I think it's just not healthy. But however, I couldn't really tell you what agency life as an employee is, because I just know the perspective from the one who's running the agencies, and I think that's still very different from the one who's employed in there. So, not really have an answer to that. However, I can compare agency life to self-employment, and I think, although, as I just said, this might make people very jealous, but being self-employed now, especially if you work in online marketing, is the best thing you can do from my experience or in my opinion, because you can just work whenever you want, wherever you want. So, for example, right now, as we said earlier, I'm in Bali right now, and going
Once
to the
again.
beach every day. Yes, yeah, going to the beach, enjoying life here, and it's super cool. And yeah, I mean, there are co-working spaces all over the world, and you meet so many nice people, like Dan, who's
Thank
sitting
you.
next to me. And yeah, it's really, really nice. I love it, and I would not want to trade this for anything else work related. So I think as a self-employed person, it's really, really, really cool if you're working in online marketing. If you're not working in online marketing, then I think I couldn't tell you, but I think it's less enjoyable because you cannot work from everywhere. You will have to, I don't know, get a shared office in some city and always be there. So I wouldn't enjoy that, but especially this traveling around, living the hashtag digital nomad life. Yeah, I know, but it's like that.
Yes.
So it's really cool, and yeah, and also I'm free to take whatever jobs I want. So I can also say, hey, I'm not interested in working with this guy. I'm interested in working with this guy. So I can basically pick the projects that are fun to me, and I think that's very luxurious in a work related environment. Now tell us the in-house story.
Okay, so my in-house.
I would play depressed music. No, sorry, I
You
won't.
play sad music.
No, I won't.
I love my in-house
you have
life.
I know. Also, if T-Dog is listening, hello T-Dog.
Hi, T-Dog. Love ya.
It's his boss. Her boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in-house life is obviously very, very different. And especially in our SEO team, we have so many touch points across the company, so that we have a lot of communication with not just online marketing, but operational side of things. Like, where is a new location opening that we have to create content for and do all the local stuff for, and a lot of communication with maybe offline marketing and the developers if we're doing technical stuff with the website. So you do learn a lot in that perspective, and I think you get so into the business. Like, I know so much about this business, and where we are located and what we offer. I've even worked in one of the car rental branches for a day at Munich Airport, which was very entertaining. But most of the customers were German, so I just sat there and smiled. Are you still there? I can't hear you.
We laughed, but the microphone was off.
Oh no!
It was very interesting.
Oh, good. And yes, I do work in an office, so I go to work every day. Sometimes I do home office, which is nice, but it's nice having that big collection, like I said earlier, with all the people in one space, and there is a really nice sort of community and family, and there's always someone to discuss things with. I think if I was self-employed, I would really miss that. So I would do co-working in these spaces like you do, because I would really miss this togetherness of all those people, all those experts around me.
Yeah, I think even in a co-working space, I mean, of course, there are people that you can work
Yeah.
around, but you cannot work with.
True.
So
True.
I think that's missing. So this teamwork thing, you definitely don't have that, or not really when you're not in an in-house team.
Exactly. And because I've been there 4 years now, I know so many people in the company and I'm never alone. And that's really nice. Like, I even like going into work on my birthday because there's always people there hugging me and, giving me beer, which is really nice. And we usually do things like after office drinking together, sitting in the office with beer on a Friday night, which is really nice. So I think in-house you do build up that family together as well.
That's right. I mean, I hug people every day
Good.
almost, but I think the hugs are not so intense.
Good. I hear a lot about remote working. So there are, I think, very different opinions on this topic. So some people are really pro remote working and home office and things like that. And some enjoy going to an office and working in that environment. I think there is definitely good sides and bad sides to both. Maybe a mixture is sometimes nice as well. But also there's other things like impacts on the environment if people are driving to an office every day. And if everyone was working from home, there wouldn't be all these cars in the street, or like amount of public transport would go down, maybe. So would you ever consider working in-house, even if it was like remotely?
I think I would never work in-house because I just couldn't. I mean, for me, it's a bit special, or I think I am a bit special in this, regarding this, because I've always been self-employed. I've never worked for anyone, and I think I have a huge problem with people telling me what to do, because I mean, it's a weakness of mine, but I think I always know better. So I couldn't really work with someone. I tried that as a freelancer when I was working at Zalando, or Zalando, how Germans say. And we were having this, not CMO, but below the CMO, there was someone who told me things, who told me what to do. And it didn't make sense at all. And instead of having a real discussion about this, if it's worth my time, if it's worth working on this, she just said something like, "Hey, Nils, I know the numbers, just do it." And there were no numbers. And that was one moment in my life where I thought, fuck yourself, I will not work for other people anymore and chase their dreams and work for their bank accounts. I would just do this for my own. So, yeah, so for me, it's a fundamental thing. I don't want to work for others, for others' dreams, basically. And I want to work for my own. And so I could never work in-house. I mean, if there was a really cool company, so for example, if Hotjar, which is kind of like my favorite company, if they asked me to work for them in-house, I would maybe say yes, but only if it was like my own team. I could decide everything. There was no one telling me what to do. And if I got a ridiculous high amount of money, which they would never pay. So no, I would never work in-house. Also, hello, David, if you're listening to this. I still love you.
I guess, hi, David. But what if I offered you a job? That would be funny, right? If you came and worked with me at Sixt. That would be hilarious.
No, thanks.
I think we would...
I mean, yeah, it would be cool, but I guess we would be so unproductive because we would just look at memes all day and show each other memes.
Yes.
So. Would you work in-house then?
Would I work in-house? Perhaps. I mean, probably not though. I mean, I don't know. People like us, we want freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't offer that. Well, maybe if it's like a maybe later on in my life where I want stability and I want to settle down and I want to have a family and whatnot, maybe that'd be a I think I would say yes. Like, but for now, definitely not.
Okay.
But I mean, if there's a in-house company looking for a marketer, hey,
Previous experience, CMO.
embarrassing.
It's fine.
Just promoting myself
No, I cut that
shamelessly.
out.
No, don't cut it out, please. Oh no, he's stroking his beard too.
I know,
Like,
because I'm
oh, shit.
thinking.
He does that.
I know.
He does that. We should be able to see each other for the next podcast. It's so much easier to talk to someone.
Because you can see their body language
Exactly.
and whatnot.
I'm just talking to a Trello board and it's really strange. Hi.
Do you see us?
Yeah.
I love your hair.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to see you, Dan. I'm not wearing makeup today because it's Sunday.
Still looks beautiful though.
Oh, thank you.
Do I look like what you think I would look like?
Does he look like 19?
No, I would say you're like 25.
Yeah, I get that a lot. 25, 24.
Uh-huh. Maybe it's good to look a little bit older than you are because then you have that sort of, oh, I'm older than you. No, I'm older than I am. And people might trust you more.
Wait, yeah. In one of my social media consulting jobs, I made a deal with the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's lie that I'm 24 to his team, so I would look more trusted.
Not look.
Feel. Yeah, people would trust me more than just some random 19-year-old kid telling them what to do. So it was interesting.
And it's sad, but it's true. It kind of works, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I'm also quite young, not as young as you, but yeah, I've lied about my age in the past to get away with knowing or feeling more mature. Because I think my knowledge is fine, but people might think, oh, she's 23 and she doesn't know much. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, it's so true. But people, it can sometimes be like an advantage because people think, oh, you're young, you have fresh perspectives. But
definitely.
Doesn't really happen a lot, I think. Yeah.
So you're young, and once you have all those great new clients behind you, you'll be you'll look experienced because you are, and you'll be like, I'm young and I have fresh perspectives and no bad habits. And that's I think a very good combination for you. That's a good
thank you.
Unique selling point.
That's true though. Yeah, it's true.
What do you think, Nils?
Oh, I didn't
he was
I was
out,
thinking
being young can work in your advantage as well.
Come closer. I don't care about age at all. So if people can do their stuff and if people know, just if people are good, then they can be 16 and I will still trust their work. Probably not because they look strange, but in general, yeah.
Yes, but I mean, coming at it from a brand or an enterprise perspective, and there were two different consultants. One of them was 18 and one of them was 32. And they both had the same amount of experience. Maybe, depending on their values, they would either take the older person or the younger person,
It's all about what biases they
Yes.
have regarding people.
But I think that's not only with age. I think that comes with everything. If we can cut this out if you're uncomfortable. But we had this conversation about you were worried about your professional life because you're Indonesian, because of your ethnical background.
Because of my brown. I mean, it's I think it definitely matters in a way because people see that you can't get this image out that you're brown. I mean, there's certain.
I don't mind.
Maybe because you're a white male.
Oh yeah, privilege.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's always this bias that people have, this image that lies in people's collective.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I
just don't feel it. And I think not everyone is like that. So I think
I mean,
just because you're not Caucasian or however this is called.
I mean, it's great that people like you aren't, but there's people out there that are. So
yeah, it's definitely awful. And of course it depends where you are. Is that how you feel in Australia or where you're living?
Yeah, you feel that a bit. Yeah, it's very subtle. You it's not racism, I would say. Oh well, some of it is, but it's just a subtle, how people see you, how people have conversations with you. You kind of have to be in my shoes to realize that, but it's hard to show it to people because it's how do you do that?
Do you feel this is having an impact on your work life?
Yeah, because I mean, I think at the end of the day, professional life is all about social connections.
Yeah.
It's all about relationships. And if these things still exist, of course it matters.
But I mean, if people get to know you,
Mm-hmm.
it will be fine.
Yeah,
Because,
for sure.
I mean,
for sure, yeah.
you, it's not. I mean, the people who have a problem with this,
Mhm.
first of all, fuck
Mhm.
them extremely
Yeah.
hard with a chair or something. But how would that look like? But I think people who have these prejudices
Mhm.
against people, first of all, you don't want to work with them,
Mhm.
and at the same time, if people get to know you, they will notice that there is no difference.
Hopefully.
So, I mean, yeah, I think so.
Mm.
I
don't know.
agree.
Maybe they think they are superior to you, which is super stupid, and then really these are the clients that you don't
Yes.
want. So
Yeah, or maybe they see this as an advantage if they want to. I don't know if they want to target like specific ethnic groups. I wouldn't know much more than
yeah, sure.
yeah, or like they want to
Yeah.
target
You
you
serve
know.
the Asian market or
Mhm.
something. Especially, I mean, if you compare design, for example, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
compare
uh-huh.
European design or Australian ones
Mhm.
with what people like in India or somewhere,
Mhm.
it looks totally different, and
Yeah.
something that works in Germany would not work in India. I mean, it's
For
even
sure,
the
yeah,
same
mhm.
with France and Germany. So although
Mhm.
they are neighbors,
Yeah,
it's totally different.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that can also be an advantage, while
For
it
sure.
can be a disadvantage if you're working with
Yeah,
assholes. So
Okay, so we had 0 that's what she said jokes in this one. How do we fix that? It was really hard to
don't know.
fit them in.
That's what she said.
Nice. Oh my god, what a good one.
That was on
No,
purpose.
it was really hard to fit them in.
I made all of them last episode, although you are the that's what she said joke
Yes,
person.
I am. I've inspired you truly.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please follow our
It's fine.
Okay.
Just
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Izzi and Nils Show. See you next week.